We're back with Tom Zimmerman, President and Director of Central Pacific Homeloans. What's the reason you chose children to be the reason you get involved in these things?
No, I think ever since the birth of my son, I've had better balance in my life. Prior to the birth of my son, who's 12 now, I was 100% business all of the time, and I needed that balance. And I think when my son was born, it gave me that balance, the recognition of how important family is and the recognition of how important children are to our future. So from my perspective, the things that I do with Hugs or Jardin Academy or even the coaching, it's all about making sure that I'm influencing positively kids in their lives.
So you and I have a mutual friend, Jim Lyon, that you recruited to do the coaching, and he seems to have been doing that forever too. Yeah. Are you finding that everything that you get involved with, you're trying to get all of your friends involved?
No, I think with Jim, our sons were best friends, and I lured Jim onto the soccer field one day saying, will you just help me with this one team this year? And we've been coaching for 7 years since together, almost year round. Obviously, I would encourage anybody to be out there with the kids, but I try not to lure my friends in unless they have an interest. Certainly, Jim had an interest with his son, and we've had some of the most enjoyable times I can imagine together coaching. I mean, when you give back like that, you think you're giving to the kids, but truthfully, the benefit comes to people like Jim and I when you see the kids grow, mature, and succeed. It's a wonderful feeling.
And then how are you guys managing your time then? I mean, how are you prioritizing the time so you make sure that the work is getting done as well as the coaching is getting done and, your home time is getting done?
Yeah, I think, it's all about balance. Like I said, family first, and, I do put that as my focus, and then obviously running the business is a significant task, and you need to balance those two things out. I certainly don't have a lot of extra time. I don't have a lot of leisure time. But from my perspective, my enjoyment, my leisure actually comes from being out there with the kids anyway. And, I have such a great team at work. I mean, I am fortunate. Central Pacific Homeloans, as far as I'm concerned, has the most professional management team in the state as far as mortgage lenders go. So from that perspective, I have great people that I can rely on. And I think you need that.
In regards to business, what are the key components of a successful partnership?
Trust being first and foremost. Gail and Ron and I, trust each other implicitly. I think the second thing, I'd go back to being able to communicate, even if it's not a positive communication, is really important. Being able to discuss and debate and still walk out of the room as friends and partners in a cohesive unit is important. And I would say, those are the primary things, but you have to like the people you're working with as well. It's really important that you have fun at your job. I need to, it would strike me as one of the most difficult things to do if I woke up every morning and did not want to come to the office. I actually enjoy the people I work with. I enjoy the time. And I think if you have that, it's half the battle on having a successful company in life.
But with the three of you having to make the decision of when you transition into merging with another company or growing bigger, I mean, how easy is that decision with three people?
Well, it's probably not as easy as it is with one person, but I think in another way, three heads are better than one. And from my perspective, I just have so much admiration for both Gail and Ron that, input from all three of us to make that kind of decision, I think is really valuable. If I was by myself and didn't have a partner in that operation, I would have sought some sort of counsel. And here I have two great mentors and friends and partners who they would probably been the people I'd have turned to if I was the only owner. So from that perspective, it was pretty easy for the three of us to sit down and really discuss our options and the opportunity to sell the company. It's difficult to sell something you build. We took a lot of time, effort, energy, put our hearts into building that company, and when Clint and Glenn and the folks from Central Pacific made us the offers, I think it was difficult from an emotional point of view to sell something that you had worked on, constructed, formed. But that being said, it made sense for our team, it made sense for our shareholders, and it made a lot of sense for our employees.
But then you didn't really leave, right? They bought you, but you stayed.
Yeah, I stayed. I really enjoy working for Central Pacific Bank. Clint Arnoldus, I just have the utmost respect for. Glenn Fujimoto and I actually worked together a bit at Bank of Hawaii. I have just nothing but great things to say about that team, and I love running this subsidiary for them. I really enjoy it, and I had no intention of going off into the sunset or anything like that, nor do I now. I really enjoy working for the group I'm with.
Can you give us a last bit of advice of what you would say to entrepreneurs who are wondering should they take the leap into starting their business?
My advice would be, take the leap and have fun doing it. I think it's really, really important that you have fun doing it. If you take it too seriously, you take yourself too seriously, you take the company too seriously, it'll damage what you're trying to do. Whereas if you're enjoying yourself and moving forward and improving on a daily basis, that's all you can ask for.
Thanks for joining us today on Greater Good Radio. For more information or a transcript of today's show, please visit us online at greatergoodradio.com. This is your host, Evan Leong and Carrie Leong, saying please join us next time for another episode of Greater Good Radio, Hawaii.